As Rick said, we're going to triple team you tonight, and so I'm going to try to keep this to 15 minutes, 20 minutes max, but we'll do what we need to do. First of all, the only things I'm going to cover is what's coming down the pipe in Trader Vision, a quick overview of the current status of the application, talk about a couple interesting features. I don't know what to do, Rebecca. I've literally got it pegged. And then I'm going to plan a trade or two. So let's talk about what's coming down the pipe in additional features. We're working on a new, an entirely new widget or entirely new module or section of the program that will do scanning. In other words, you'll be able to either use scans that we provide or write your own scans, just very similar to the way you can do it in TC2000 or Thinkorswim or several other packages. We'll be doing brokerage integration. Yeah, we'll be doing brokerage integration. We'll start with TradeHawk Tradier. We'll be doing Thinkorswim, but that's going to be to a limited extent, and that's because of Thinkorswim. They basically have not done anything to help us, and so we'll have to use their existing tool for integrating to Microsoft Excel. And so we'll integrate as best we can, but that's basically all they're doing. They're acting like a bank now, as opposed to being hungry the way they were back in the old days. We'll be going to Interactive Brokers, and they're in a similar boat to Thinkorswim. They have a little bit better setup already in place, and so we'll be able to do a little bit better job, but it's still... brokerages, old school brokerages, tend to act like they own the customer and are very, very uninterested in having many other software hook into their software. TradeStation mentioned that they might start an integration program this quarter. I haven't heard from them since then, but they were basically following up on a discussion I had tried to start with them 2.5 years ago, and we'll go on from there. But there will be a number of them. The second thing, or the third thing, I guess, that's coming down the pipe is user-defined trade rules. So right now, in the section of the program we call market conditions, those are really trade rules, and that's allowing you to score a chart or a ticker based on predefined trade rules that I've put in there in terms of you define what period of time is considered to be long-term, what period of time is considered to be short-term, and then you can say, well, is the market trending up or down during those long-term and short-term periods? Is the ticker itself trending up and down during those long-term and short-term periods? Is the T line above the 34 EMA, and those sorts of things? Is there a candle signal? Is there a candle pattern? We will make that even more user definable so that you can add the rules that you want and really make Trader Vision your own. And then lastly, I've got just pages of single-spaced sheets of thoughts that I've had, improvements that we can make to the widgets. Art, coming back to what your question there, basically Thinkorswim has been of no value to us in terms of integrating. And so the only tool we have available is a tool that they put in place years ago that allows their users to integrate, move data back and forth between Thinkorswim and Excel, Microsoft Excel. And so that's what we will use. We will use that same facility to provide some level of integration. Okay, so that's basically all I talked about there. Upcoming events, just so you know, every week I'm doing, right after the market closes, 4:15 Eastern, I do a weekly user workshop. So if you have questions or you want to come tomorrow, you're more than welcome right here, this room, no password. And I'll stick around until your questions are answered, but I try to get us out of here by 5 Eastern so that we keep it fairly short. But if you have questions, I'll stick around. And then the next monthly workshop is on March 22nd, again in this room at 8 p.m. So with that said, let's look at the program. Now I have made this full screen for purposes of the recording, but of course you don't have to. You can resize it to whatever size you like. Move it around however you want to do it, but for the purposes of the recording, I've got it full size. These are the widgets or submodules, subcomponents of TraderVision. First is goals, which is a tool for planning your longer term financial objectives, and then breaking that down into short-term goals that will help you, stepping stones to help you stay on track to your financial objectives, coming down to a per trade set of trade goals that you have to make that give you a tool then to manage your trades. Account manager, let's change this to sample account. This basically allows you to keep TraderVision and your brokerage in sync. So if they charge you a brokerage fee of some sort, or you make a deposit or you make a withdrawal, you can record that and keep the balances in sync between your brokerage and TraderVision. We have a dashboard, which again, for each of your accounts, you can then get a bird's eye view of your particular account. You can see what the account value is, how much you have in cost basis open trades, and then percentage breakdowns of long and short, and how much you have in cash, and so forth. And then each of the trades, you'll be able to see where you're at on each of those. Any of these you can double click to open up the trade in TraderVision. We have a charting package as well. This is a chart for Fabrinet, and you can add all sorts of indicators to it. Quite frankly, this is not where it's going to be, and we have a number of improvements to be making in the near future on the charting package. But for the time frame that we're at in the lifespan of the product, it's pretty good for where we're at. You can default to however many days worth of data you want to see. So if we did IBM, and I wanted to look at, I don't know, let's say sorry guys, I need to scroll up here. And let's say I want to make 1,000 prices. There's 1,000 days worth of IBM, and I think I could put that to 10,000 and still be okay. I think they go back. They have data in the same series going back to 1967. Alan, I guess I'm going to say real time or end of day. Real time. And real time is a relative term. We're only doing an update on prices about once every 15 seconds. When we set the integration in place, we will allow you to update in a more timely fashion, but that's not what we're doing right now. At the moment, you cannot change the time period, Jim, but that's, again, it's part of the improvements that we want to have coming down the pipe. Like I said, there's a lot of work that I want to see done to our charting package, but you know where it's at right now. So Watch list is, as you would think, it is a watch list that you can put in, and you can see a whole slew of data for each ticker that you add. You can have as many watch lists as you want. I think that I've got 5 or 6 here. I guess 4, well 5 because the blank one is also on that list. So I have 5 watch lists. Each one of these tells us the ticker and the name, the last trade and when that last trade was. Look at each of the last 5 candles and you can see the open, high, low, and close on each of those. Percentage changes, dollar changes for the day, volume and average volume, where it sits in the 52-week range, industry and sector, next earnings report, and this is something that I will make you aware of. Yeah, let me get back to that in a minute, Will. But we have the earnings report date, we have the ex-dividend dates, short interest, 50 and 200 SMAs, etc. And you can, of course, edit this if you decide there's fields you don't want to see. You can narrow that down to just the fields that that you really are focus on. One thing that I want to point out is we are getting our earnings date data from an exchange, IEX, and they're just a small exchange. The only reason you would have heard of them is because they were the ones that broke the story on high-frequency traders actually scamming the market by paying the major exchanges to locate their servers inside the exchange, and basically by a few milliseconds have the price data before anybody else and able to scalp everybody. Going back to the chart to answer your question real quickly, this is about as naked as it gets. If you're talking about black and white, that's certainly something we can put into place. But for right now, we're using green for a candle that closes above where it opened, and red for closing below where it opened. But yeah, we can change that to black and white. But it's not there now, so it's not configurable at this moment. I'm just going to breeze through this. Performance shows you some overall statistics and how you compare to whatever you want to compare yourself to. In this case, this particular account is comparing itself to the SPY, and the blue is the account performance, and the gold line is the performance of the SPY. And then you can break down, there's a whole series of existing, we call them embedded, but it's really just pre-canned reports that we've created, and then you can write your own reports if you prefer. So you're getting kind of a reporting package built in, so you can write your own reports if you want to slice and dice your performance in different ways. I don't really have enough data here to make any of this stuff meaningful, so I'm not really going to go into performance too much. As you can see, I've only closed 3 trades in this particular sample account. Trade log is the heart of the application, and basically this is like any trade journal. It's simple. So you just highlight a trade, you click on the 3 little dots over here, and then choose delete trade, and asks you if you want to delete that trade and all its data. Click yes, and it's gone. So this is basically the mainstay of the system. This is a journal that records all of your trades, planned, open, and closed, and allows you to track your performance. Let's go ahead and create a new trade, and that figures. As you can see, I've got a bug here, and I will work on that overnight. Sorry about this, guys. I suspect that was caused by an update that we did just today. Okay, so let's plan a new trade here. One of the charts that I liked tonight was ENPH. Now, it reported tonight after the close. You can see we look up the earnings for you. So its earnings are $2.27 after the close. Let's look at the TC2000 chart of it. Why did I like it? Well, it's kind of doing a J-hook within a sort of PBO, if you will. But it's tested the breakout level and pulled back today. It's coming off of a Morningstar yesterday, or at least a Morningstar type up off the 50 SMA. That's why I like it, but I like it because of this resistance level up here. I like it above that. I want it to break out, retest that to prove support so I can have a tight stop. And then I'm going to be using fib and major resistance areas as my targets along this trend line. So let's see what that would plan out like in Trader Vision. It tells us these are the market conditions, which I call trading rules. It tells us I've got 4 bullish ones and 2 bearish ones. The 2 bearish ones are both the symbol itself. So it's been in a pullback in the last month or so, and it's been in a pullback, that J-hook, the last few days. But so we know that, and I can say, yes, I can look past that. I've got no candle signal today. Yesterday I had a Morningstar. I do have some bullish patterns at play. I'm just going to plan out a trade here based on numbers I looked at earlier. So let's say I'm looking at a 289 entry with a stop about 280. I'm looking at a 310 first target and a 348 second target and a I guess it was 84. It's my third target. It tells me I can buy almost $1,400 worth of, or 1,400 shares, and stay below $125 risk if I'm stopped out, because I've only got 9 cents between the entry and the stop. But I know that's way too big for this demo account. It's only got, I think, 50 or 40,000 in it. So let's just make this, let's try 600 shares. At 600 shares, that's, yeah, a little over 3% of the account. I can live with that. And then I just have to play with scenarios. So if I only make it to the first target, what does that do to me? I'm getting a $54 risk for a $126 gain, which is about 2.3 to 1. But my trade goal is 250. So if that's all the further I think I can get, if I think that first target is major resistance, I'm going to have to either rearrange this trade somehow to make my target, which I don't think I can do, or I'm going to have to yeah, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to either make a second target or pass on the trade. So let's say I just take a third of it off there, a third of it off here, and a third of it off there. Overall, I would be risking $54 to make $350. If I were to hit all 3 targets, it would be a 20% trade, and it would offer me about 6.5 to 1 reward to risk. And the way I trade is, as we hit the first target, I move my stop up to at least break even. Hit the second target, I move my stop up to the first target, and so forth. So I keep locking in more and more and keep reducing my risk. So that's a trade you can look at for tomorrow, or the next day, or the day after that, because it's not quite broken out. let's look at another one here. CYH. Again, it reported after the close tonight. Let's look at the chart. CYH is a morning star today, but again, it has not broken this most recent resistance that has back off the weekly chart been drawn for me. It's no longer a RBB because there's less than 10% left up to the 200. CJ, that's probably because you have a different scaling approach than I use. I use a fixed 2.5% scale for my charts on a daily chart, and that's probably the difference. If you have logarithmic or arithmetic or something of that nature, or maybe even a percentage with different percents, it will look different, at least to some extent. But I'm pretty sure this is a good representation of the data. Again, I'm looking for a breakout, retest, approve, and then enter on the bounce, and I'm looking for those levels. Let's just look at what it would trade like. When I looked at this, I was looking at a 642 entry. Again, since it's reported tonight, it will depend on what their report was and whether or not they beat and they act well tomorrow. 783, but it gives us 3 months until the next earnings, right? $7, 783, 857, I think it was, and my stop was 6.25. Let's make it 624. It says we can make almost 700 shares and stay below $125 risk. Again, for this tiny account, I know that's not going to work. Let's try 200 shares maybe. Yeah, 200 shares is only 2.5%. Let's bump it up. Let's say 300 shares. $100. Rick, I know you're probably telling me to cut it off. So that's what we're looking at. So what we're looking at here is if you made all 3 targets, you'd be making 7 2/3 to 1, which is awesome. If you only made the first target, or if you only made the second target, you would be getting 5.5 to 1. If you only made the first target, you'd be getting 3.25 to 1. So that's why I like that trade. Okay, at a gallop, that's what Trader Vision is all about, is empowering you to validate and evaluate and plan your trades before you enter them, having all this information in mind, knowing what's going to happen in dollars and cents and in percentage at each price point that you could hit, takes a lot of the emotions out of the equation and allows you to trade in a much more standardized way. You can see here that I really like the way this lines up with the trading rules. We've got 7 bullish factors, no bearish factors. Everything is green. I've got a Morningstar signal today. I've got a couple or 3 bullish patterns in play. So it's nice. The only down thing that I've got against CYH is that the 200 is less than 10% above. I would like that to be more, but you can't have everything. So that's why I like that trade. I hope that works, and as I said, come back tomorrow, Wednesday, 4:15 here Eastern. If you have other questions, I might stick around afterwards if you want to ask a couple questions as well. So that's all I've got. Let me close down my camera and let Rick get back on here. It's all yours, Rick, whenever you're ready. I will stick around as long as you have questions. But I think for the most part, you've seen the links. The price goes up 3-1, so it's your call. As long as you plan some way, we're good with that, and just please do that. But I think Trader Vision. I'm biased; it's my baby, but I think it's a great product for helping you plan trades, have goals, and so forth. Okay, guys. Yeah, Art, I thought I did repeat it, but let me talk about it again. Think or swim. They talk a good game, but they essentially have no follow through on allowing us to integrate to their software. But what they do offer is an Excel tool. They have an Excel tool that they built back in the days when Sosnoff was running it. And that Excel tool is what we will use to integrate Trader Vision to it. So it will be, let's call it a partial integration. It will not be a full-fledged API-based integration. And if you're not a software wonk like me, it won't matter. That means nothing to you. But let's just call it a partial integration is what we will have to Thinkorswim. And it's based off of their tool to allow integration or passing of data from Thinkorswim to Excel. That's the only reason I mentioned Microsoft Excel. Did you catch it that time? Does that make sense to you? Sure, no problem. Yes, TradeHawk will be a better integration because they are, it's a true partnership. We can call them, and I can talk to their head programmer guy. His name's Costa, and we'll set up a full-fledged integration there, and so that will be a better integration. But for Thinkorswim, they really have no interest, regardless of what they say, regardless of what their website says. Yeah, TradeHawk will be probably the first one we do. So it'll be linked through TradeHawk to Tradier. We'll also link directly from Trader Vision to Tradier. I will set this up. The integrations have not been released yet. The first one will be TradeHawk and Tradier. The second one will be Thinkorswim, Interactive Brokers at pretty much the same time. And then TradeStation has talked. They sent me an email here a couple months ago, or 8 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that ago, that they are going to try to set up the tools. It's called an API, Application Programming Interface, to allow integrations. They're going to start working on that this first quarter. I have not heard from them since that email, and that email was basically a reply to an email and phone calls that I had made to them 2.5 years ago. So hopefully they will launch something, and hopefully we can set up an integration to TradeStation. Other than that, it will be on a case-by-case basis, and it really depends on whether or not the brokerage will work with us, will give us the ability to set up access for our customers. Some of them will, some of them won't. For example, the old school brokers, your Schwab and your Fidelity and those sorts of things, they don't want to do any integrations. They believe they own their customers, and they don't want their customers to use anything except for their tools, period. And so those are just out of the question. NinjaTrader, yeah, we can probably set something up there. I do know that they do offer integration. They're not a brokerage per se, but they're like TradeHawk. They're a trading software that sits between your brokerage and you, and we can probably do something like that, but I have not explored that extensively, Rick. I will not, won't lie to you about that. But I do know they offer it, and so therefore we could set something up. I just don't know what it looks like at this point. I don't know about TC2000. I know they're not offering anything now. I mean, they've become a brokerage themselves. Well, they bought a brokerage and then they decided they had to work through Interactive Brokers. But they've offered trading through their platform. And so if they're open to it, we'll offer that integration. If they're not, we can't. So that's basically where we're at. But I have no problem at all with reaching out to them and seeing what we can offer. No, I don't know where that $19 a month idea came from. That we've never offered that. So yeah, to start with, it's $37, buys you the first 60 days. It's kind of like buy one get one for the trail. Okay, the 19 a month was TradeHawk. Okay, yeah, that's right. And that's probably the right way options hit and run candlesticks specific pricing for TradeHawk. But yeah, TradeHawk pricing for stock only is, I think, 19 a month. I'm not sure of the pricing on. No, this is not TradeHawk. No. Completely separate. They're two separate programs. TradeHawk is an execution software. It's strictly made for finding a price and submitting an order. Take care, Arnoldo. And Trader Vision is strictly, well, not strictly, but is largely a planning platform for planning and trade logging and diaries, so forth. And we do offer some execution tools, but certainly not in the same league as TradeHawk. That is correct, Addie. I am working on that. I can't tell you when, but it is at basically the top or near the top of the development punch list. It is a completely new module, so bear that in mind. So it's not like it's easy to implement this, but it will be coming in the pike. And it is what we're going to offer is our pre-written scans, and also an interface so you can write your own scans if you have your own version. So for example, let's just talk about the Morningstar. So I have what I believe my scan is for the Morningstar is XYZ, and Rick's version of the Morningstar is a little bit looser, so he can write one that's ABC, and Doug's is a little bit different as well, and his is C or CDF or something like that. So you can write your own or use the set ones and so forth. That's my goal, Flash. That's my goal. I want Trader Vision to be kind of a one-stop shop support tool for traders, so that you can scan, you can chart, you can plan your trades, set your goals, log all of your trades, and execute and manage your trades, and then go back and say, look at my performance and slice it and dice it. How can I improve so that I'm doing what works for me and stop doing what doesn't work? Identify the errors that I've made, the mistakes that I make. Is find the patterns in my data. Say, I make these mistakes, I need to start eliminating these mistakes, and so forth. Whether that's chasing trades, whether that's setting my stops too tight or too loose, or violating my discipline, not following my plan, whatever that is. Find those problems and eliminate them. Oh, you're welcome. They are very, very, to a small extent, put in now. So, for example, on an account-by-account basis, you can determine for, okay, so for my swing trading account, I want to look at 34 days means long-term, and 5 days means short-term. For my long-term account, I want to look at 200 days means long-term, and yes, it is recordedly. So for my long-term account, 200 days means long-term, and I don't know, 17 days means short-term. And then those will be reflected in the market conditions. However, we are, and again, it's at the top of my development list, making it so that you can put in your own trade rules. In other words, what period do you want to look at? Exponential or simple moving averages? How far of a look back do you want to do? So if you choose the 50-day moving average, do you want to compare the 50-day moving average today versus yesterday, or today versus 2 weeks ago, or what? So make it very customizable for you. Allow you to put in your, if you want to look at the 3 EMA versus the T-line, the 8 EMA, you can put that in. So again, I'll make it very customizable that you put your trading rules in. You choose your own volume or liquidity measure. Right now you're using mine, the preset ones that I put in. But we'll make that much, much, much more customizable to your own trading rules, because everybody will have their own, everybody has their own liquidity requirements. Everybody has their own, what are the rules that you trade by? And that's where we're headed. We're not there yet, but we're headed there. And that's what I tried to get across in my small portion of the presentation, and I had to gallop by a lot of this stuff, so I may have said a term that meant things to me that didn't translate into what does that mean to you guys. And I apologize for that, but there's only so much you can do in a certain amount of time. But that customization of the trading rules to your own set of rules is coming. The scanning module or widget is coming, so that you can scan for tickers, improvements to the charting package to hopefully bring it closer to on par with TC2000. That's kind of the benchmark that I'm using, because that's the tool that I use now. I think it's the best package out there, and that's what we're shooting to replace. You don't log into it. It's software that you download. Powell, you should get an email almost immediately after your order processes. You'll get an email that says something like, your hit and run candlesticks order of 227.18 is complete. Now that's what the subject line will be. If you don't see it, check your spam folder. A lot of people have told us that the order complete email is being picked up by their spam folder. And that email, that order complete email, contains the download link as well as your license number you use for registration. You'll also get an email that has a link to a video where I walk you through how to download, how to install, and how to register. and then you'll be in a series where you'll get the tutorial videos fed to you first once a day, and then once every couple days, and then once every 3 days, and once every week. So the entire 60 days you'll be getting tutorials all along there. If you don't want to wait, you can go to the tutorials page through the application, which is Help Tutorial Videos, or go to the website and it's listed under the product as the tutorials page. Thanks, Flash. Appreciate it. You guys know how to reach me both in the room and through a support ticket, either from the application help support ticket or on the website, or just email me, ed@tradervision2020.com or support@tradervision2020.com, and I will get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. I see somebody typing, a couple people, so I'm going to hang on. Take care, Rob. David, you'll get 2 receipts. One is nothing but a receipt, and the other one, again, has that subject line, your hit and run candlesticks 227.18 order is complete. That's the one you're looking for that has the download link and has the license number in it. If it's not in your spam folder, you might want to check your email provider. Their spam folder on their server may have caught it. But if you can't find it, just drop me an email. I don't want to do it through chat because I might miss somebody here. But drop me an email. Okay, great. Yeah, it's very quick, but it can take a second or two, and it may take a minute or so to deliver depending on your email service. Okay, guys, it looks like, well, there's 1 or 2 people typing, so hold on. Maria, I don't think so. It will work on a Mac. Depending on what computer, it determines where you're accessing the download link from, and it will download. If you access it from a Mac, it'll download the Mac version. If you access it from a PC, it'll download the PC version. But it's not iPad compatible per se. It was certainly not made to be that, but it is OS X or Mac compatible. So the truth of the matter is I don't know, but I would not suspect it would run on a iPad, but I'm not positive. It's not a web-based app, so that's why I'm thinking it's not iPad compatible. No, you're welcome, Maria. Yes, you can, Addie. There's a little bit of a process to that. What the process is the license can only be used by one machine at a time, one computer at a time. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that you register it on your PC. It's a simple process of you click deactivate on your license when you shut down the PC, and when you fire up the Mac, then you register it with the Mac as the computer. Now, TraderVision does automatic daily backups, and you would set those up probably to use a cloud location to store your backups in, and then you would just do a manual restore. So you back up the PC, and then you register to open up the Mac, and do a manual restore from that cloud location, so that you would have all of your data, all of your trades that you recorded in the PC available on the Mac, or vice versa. You purchase Big Fish trading package. I'm not sure what that means. Lee, I'll have to maybe talk to you offline. If you could send me an email, let me post my... That's my email. Yeah, okay, so yeah, Big Fish is a different company, and I really don't know what... okay, well, yeah, I don't know a thing about them. But yeah, the Big Fish has nothing to do with Trader Vision. Okay, guys, looks like, well, there's still a person typing. I'll wait. That's correct, Rebecca. It's strictly a hit and run candlesticks product, right way options product. We will integrate it to TradeHawk because we have a great relationship with them, but they're separate companies. I don't believe there is a deadline to sign up for TradeHawk. If there is, I don't know what it is. I don't believe there is any. TradeHawk, the pricing that we set up with Tradier through TradeHawk is set, and I think let me see if I can find the link. That's the link for the Tradier through TradeHawk by way of hit and run and right way options. And if there's any deadline, it will be listed there. I don't believe there is one. But again, it's kind of apples and oranges. TradeHawk is trade execution. Tradier is a brokerage. And Trader Vision is a planning, execution, and trading journal tool. Thanks, Flash. Yeah, let's call it a night, guys. It's been almost, well, an hour and 50 minutes now, so let's call it a night. Again, if you need to talk to me, my emails, I'll post it again. one last time, I'll post that ordering link. That would be nice, David. I'm not sure I will, but